Good morning, everyone. Leah Dixon here from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. I am live this morning with my weekly card class to go. This week I am featuring the Cheers to the Season stamp set, which is kind of a standalone set, but I've paired it up with some really nice embossing folders, ribbons, and embellishments to make some great cards. So I'm going to switch over to my desktop and we're going to get started. If you are here and watching, I'd love it if you said hi. I'd love to know who's watching along. Oh, hi, good morning, Kim. Nice to have you join. So this stamp set pairs up so nicely with all sorts of things. You can put it with designer series paper, other images and stuff, but I love that the image and the sentiment are actually one and the same. So we've got this card that we're going to get started on. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I do have to apologize today as I'm stamping. I'm using some fairly irregularly sized blocks because I've been getting ready for card classes and Stamp-A-Stacks and stuff like that. And I have all my blocks all packed up. Oh, good morning, Nancy. So I have just my largest block that I'm going to be using. So it's going to look a little odd. You do not need to be as awkward as I am. You can use an appropriately sized block when you do your stamping. So I'm actually going to start by finding the smallest piece of basic white in the card kit. So if you're brand new to my card classes to go, I do my video on Wednesday mornings. You have actually from Monday, so even before you've seen the video, you have from Monday till Sunday to place an order with me using my host code. And I should double check that I put the right host code in this video now that I'm saying that out loud. And then I will send you a make and take kit to make 2 of each of the 3 cards that I've got designed for you for the day. So when you get your pack, you'll actually have double the stuff. I've already made one of mine, so I just have 1 set left. So I'm going to find that smallest piece of basic white, and I'm going to stamp this awesome wine glass image. So here you can see my overly sized block. And it's a bit ridiculous. So because I'm using the big block, I'm actually going to ink up my image. If I was using a properly sized block for this image, I would put the image to the ink pad. In any case, you want to ink this up. And what I absolutely love is that this stamp does everything for you. It does the shading, it does the highlighting, it does the stamping of the sentiment. Like there's no embossing here to get that beautiful white sentiment. This is a ink stamp and done. So voila. It is just the coolest stamp set because it looks really like you did a lot of work. You did something really fantastic. And really, we did the most basic thing a stamper can do. So I absolutely love that. I'm sorry, I got to take off my glasses. I'm getting to that age where I need my glasses for distance, but not for up close. And I'm not ready for bifocals. So I have to take them on and off. All right. So then we fussy cut this. It is my one disappointment with this set is that there's no dies that go with it. However, I mean, these images are not exactly intricate, so fussy cutting them, I guess, isn't the worst thing in the world. And then it's one less tool to have to go and find. So right now, I don't know if at the beginning of the video you saw my background. My room is a disaster. I am getting ready for what will arguably be the busiest year of my entire month, November, or busiest month of my entire year, November, as I have craft fair after craft fair after craft fair after card class after card class, all while writing report cards. Oh, you don't like bifocals? Yeah, I'm just not sure that I'm going to like them. And so I've just kind of resorted to glasses on, glasses off. I might get myself like a lanyard so that I can just hang around my neck and then I don't forget where I've put them down. So the next step is I've taken this piece of Orchid Oasis cardstock and it's been embossed with one of the Pretty Patterns embossing folders. They're in our mini catalog. You'll see the other pattern on our next card. So it's stripes and circles, wavy stripes and circles, actually. So I've placed that on here, but I haven't glued it down. Some people like to use pencils and make markings and be all kind of professional. Oh, hi, Gail. Oh, yeah, I do have some time in there for myself. We have some birthday celebrations and all of that. And I'm really working hard this month to get prepped well in advance so that the busyness of the month is in the doing, not the preparing to do. I don't want to be running around before events gathering things. So I'm really trying to have everything prepped and packed and just grab and go and enjoy the time. So it's making this month, well, it's not making it busy, but it's making my room a disaster. So I'm actually going to move that up a little bit higher, I think. So just like that. So that's where I want it to be. So now I'm going to ink up these little bubbles in some Tahitian Tide. I'm going to pull that down. Actually, you know what? I might actually use my grid paper to help me see how much I'm pulling it down. So if I want that about like that, I put that there. And then I'm going to pull that down so it's out of the way so I don't stamp on it. And then I'm going to stamp these bubbles in a line across my paper. And then I'm going to move that back up. And okay, that's where I like it. So then I'm going to move, okay, I'm going to move up a bit on my screen for you guys. So if that's where I like it, now that that's stamped, I'm going to move that so that the bottom of this is in line with my center line. Then I'm going to move that up out of the way. And I'm going to turn my stamp around so it's stamping down now. And I'm going to stamp again in a line across like that. And then I'll move that back down. And voila, it's the look I want. So I don't get all fancy with like lines and stuff. I always worry then that they'll be visible. I'll have to erase them. I'll wreck something with the eraser. So I just kind of move things around. So that's how I created those little bubbles in Tahitian Tide ink. Now we can glue this down. So I, of course, like my liquid glue, but you're welcome to use whatever adhesive you like. So, you know, whether that's tear and tape, the good old snail from the olden days, seal. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the Seal Plus if I'm not going to use my liquid glue. But I like my liquid glue because like here I can put it down and then I can shift it around if I don't like exactly where I had it. Okay, just like that. Yeah, and it's a cool, like, I don't know, it's like champagne bubbles or something to me. I really like that look of it kind of exploding out. Now, before we do any more putting together, I'm going to grab that other piece. This is the inside of my card. And I'm going to get those little bubbles again. This time, though, I'm going to kind of create a frame, I guess, on my inside piece. And I'm just going to stamp them right across the top. That looks like it's down a little, so I'm just going to pop in there. Okay, so right across the top, and then I'm going to do them right across the bottom as well. So it's kind of like framing it all up. And then finally, just because I like to have decorated envelopes, I am going to stamp the flap of my envelope. So I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper to cover up my envelope so it's just my flap that's exposed. And now I do want to make sure that I'm getting this like directionally, not sideways. There we go. So start like that. Now, if you wanted to, you could flip it upside down at this point. And Do them the other way. There we go. And then I'm going to flip it back again. And this time I'm not actually going to go right to the edge of my envelope. I'm going to let it look like it's kind of trailing off as we get to the edge of the envelope. So there is our finished envelope. So just super fun. And especially since I love this, it just says cheers. So this could be Christmas, this could be New Year's, this could be a birthday or any kind of celebration. And we're not really tying ourselves to a holiday. You can do that on the inside once you know exactly what you're going to use this card for. And of course, I've done this in Orchid Oasis and Tahitian Tide. But if you did this with a nice red wine glass and maybe a green or even keep the blue background, it would almost look like Christmassy. You could add a little sprig of holly on there and make it extra Christmassy. My idea was like, I'm trying to wind up my Christmas card making so that I can start sending them. And I'm looking, further into the year. So kind of New Year's was my idea. So now we get to start putting this together. We've got this one layer glued already. Before we attach it to our card base, we're going to take a piece of this silver and white sheer ribbon. That's what it's called. Now, this is unfortunately, it come back briefly, but it's unfortunately again out of stock and won't be back until the week of November 13th. So I was thinking if you've got, this stamp set already and wanting to make these cards now, if you get my kit, you'll get the pieces of ribbon you need because I have that. But if you if you're not getting my kit and you're just stamping at home, the trim is a gold and silver trim pack, would also look really nice just to add that silver, little touch of silver. It was more important that it be silver than it be white. And if you're doing a Christmassy one, maybe use the gold trim and do it that way. Add just a little touch of, I don't know why gold always seems more elegant than silver to me. I don't know. So we're going to tie a knot first. If I can free my finger. So we're going to tie a knot first. I always like to tie a knot first because if you mess it up, you can untie it and go for it again. Oh, well, Kim, you might have noticed I'm hoping to wind up. I'm unfortunately not done. I'm done what I need to have done for like craft fairs and stuff like that. But my own personal ones that I'm sending out, I've got them designed, but not yet finished. But that's okay. They're at a stage now where I can sit in front of the TV with the kids, watch movies with them and stamp. And I don't need to be in my room with all my stuff. I can just, it's assembly line stage. So yay. All right. So there we have our nice little bow. So I just did bunny ears, and then you can kind of loop that and move it over a bit, move it up and down as you see fit. I may even just hold off and move that one more time once we see about our glass on here. So that actually, I can move it back just a bit. I want enough space for the ends of my ribbon. Okay. So with it like that, I'm now going to trim up the ends of, oh, because gold costs more. Maybe. It's funny. I was never a big fan of gold as a younger person. I liked the look of silver more. And I still do prefer it when I'm wearing it, like just with my skin tone and everything. But the look of gold on like a Christmas card now has really grown on me. All right, so we've got our trimmed up ribbon. So this layer can now get attached to our card front, and I am going to use my liquid glue, of course, to do that. But you guys go ahead and use your preferred. And so just a really thin layer is all you need. Wipe off any excess into the center. And let's see, and then we're going to pop that totally centered as best as you can. My best is better some days than others. And there we go. That's why the liquid glue is good. All right. So we've got that attached. We can take this inside piece and put that to the inside. Yeah, so you're going to see that today's cards are not complicated cards. They're actually very, very simple. But because of this stamp set, they are just really, really beautiful. Okay, there's our inside, there's our front. Now we get to add our glass. I'm not sure what it's a glass of, but our glass. Actually, maybe I did it in the blue because it's like reminiscent of, no, I have no dimensionals here. Weird. Okay, well, we'll use up these trims, these scraps. It might be reminiscent of the days when like the blue glass was so so popular. And so I'm actually not going to do anything in the middle because that's where my ribbon's going to be. So I'm going to grab just a mini, although I do know that a full-size dimensional fits in that space because that's what I did when I designed this card. So I'm just putting dimensionals at the top and the bottom so that they don't interfere with our ribbon. We just need enough adhesive here to get this card or this glass to stick to the card. That's the whole intent. A glass of cheer. Yeah, there we go. All right, and pop that on there, kind of sideways like we're cheersing. And then we are going to add, now I just have a little baggie of them, but there we go. There's the whole packet. I wanted to show you with a $70 order, you actually get a packet of these gorgeous iridescent flat iridescent discs included in your order. And so there we go. I can get the shine to go across it and light them up. So red, blue, purple, pink, and green. And they're just gorgeous. The camera does not do them justice. So I actually have quite a few of these. So even though I believe they're also on back order, I will be able to send those out to you. And yeah, I absolutely adore them. And so I bought a lot of them for my crafting, but it's worked to my advantage that I'll be able to send out some of my stash and replace it later if I need to. So because these are kits, I just have the little bits set aside that we need for our card. And I actually put these all onto the Orchid Oasis layer. You could spread them out and put them out onto the white, but I wanted to kind of keep it quite condensed. So there we go. I put 3 of the blue ones. Now in some lights they do look green. And then let's see if I can get the shine for you guys there. A little bit of shine. So buy it when you can, just like Costco. Oh, that's hilarious. Well, I always pick a few items that I think, oh, I might use that for my Christmas cards. And so I like kind of stockpile for my own creations. And sometimes then, you know, it can serve a secondary purpose. So, all right, now because all my blocks are packed up, I'm just going to take a moment. This is my very, very dirty chamois, simply chamois, but it is honestly the best way to clean your stamps. Just add water, and it's just like a cleaning chamois. You can even pick it up and use it like it's a cloth and clean it up. And oh, actually, I should grab back my Tahitian tag because I keep meaning to do this, and I'd love to show you guys that as well when you're working with your inks. Oh, I did already clean this one. Oh, good. So sometimes I get like ink built up on the edges and I don't want to touch it. You can actually just grab this chamois and ink anywhere on your ink pad and just kind of use it like a cloth and wipe that ink up and clean up your ink pads. Because sometimes I don't know what happens. I manage to get ink everywhere. Oh, thank you, Nancy. Yeah, it was a really fun card to design. Well, actually, all of them were. It's a really fun stamp set to use. So we're going to put that away. I'm going to grab my So Thankful. There we go. pop that on there. Now you'll notice I'm using this big block, and so I keep positioning things up in that top right hand corner. For me, that's because when I go to stamp it, then I can hold the ink pad because I'm right-handed and still see where I'm stamping. And then I also have less block that's going to go over my card or over whatever I'm stamping on. So that's why I put mine up in the top right when I have to use an oversized block. All right, now where's my next card base? Oh, well, Lila, there you go. You can use your chamois. Just fold it in half or even cut it in half. I've seen lots of people do that. And then use it like a cloth to wipe it up. And it wipes it up and then doesn't allow it to release again. So you're not making a mess of everything. All right. So this card has the 2 large white pieces, the smaller white piece, and then this was the second embossing folder. So we had the stripes, the wavy stripes on the first one, and then the second folder in that 2-pack of pretty patterns are these beautiful circles. And so these embossing folders are also the thinner ones that do fit in the mini. So they're not great for doing a whole card front, but they are fabulous because they can go into the mini. And I'm always looking for things that work with my mini because it's my preferred machine. So, all right. We're going to get started stamping with this now. I'm going to use, oh, I should show you guys the card. Haha. We are going to create So Thankful. And so I did it in the red because I thought, well, red's still a fall color if you're sending this out, if you're American and sending it out as a Thanksgiving card, or for me, I did use a few of these for my own Thanksgiving cards. I had them created early enough. But also it's red and white. It's, well, for me, it's oh so Canadian. But what a great thank you card after Christmas. I know my mom always made us, write thank you cards to all the relatives and family friends who sent us gifts. And so I just thought it would be a great, still kind of Christmassy-ish thank you card as well. And really, in Canada, a red and white maple leaf at any time of year, it works. So again, because I'm using my big block, I'm going to ink straight up. Now, this one's so cool. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera, but even as you ink the stamp, you can see the veining showing up on the leaf, and this literally does all the hard work for you. So we're going to line this up inside our circle and stamp. And voila. So if you are using this stamp set and finding that you're not getting the beautiful detailing when you are stamping, it might be that your ink pad is too inked up. I know we always say, oh, you want a nice juicy ink pad, but in the case of these stamps with these details, you actually want it inked up, but not juicy inked up. So if you're finding your ink pad is too juicy, this one was just kind of borderline, you can open it up, take your bone folder, and you may have ever noticed my bone folder is a disaster. And it's because I will actually use it. Here, actually, where's one that I know is too juicy? My Starry Sky. My Starry Sky is definitely too juicy. So you can take your bone folder and actually just scrape the ink off to one side, and then you can use the softer spot now that has less ink in it to do your inking up. And then you've not wasted your ink because it'll just slowly fade back into your pad and it'll be all fine. And then for this to clean it, you can use a wet wipe, or personally, I just grab a tissue and just wipe it off. And that's why mine looks a total disaster, but it's perfect. It's doing its job. All right, so we've got that stamped, and that's actually the only stamping on this card. Now, if you wanted to kind of spruce it up, I was actually contemplating doing this, so let's do it on this card. I'm going to clean up these little dots. I'm not going to do a ton of it, but we'll just do a few on our inside layer, and maybe I'll do them kind of like down the side. And so I need my cherry cobbler again. So instead of top and bottom this time, we will do the side just to make it, a little bit interesting. All right, like that. And then I feel like that would be maybe too much on our envelope. So I'm going to show you guys a cool little trick. That does mean I have to go get my big old machine. So give me a moment. So I've got my big old machine here, and you do these ones a little bit differently. These are very thin dies. So I'm going to use base plate 1, my disastrous base plate 3, and I'm actually going to take this embossing folder and put it over the flap of my envelope, and it fits in there. So I am using the big machine, even though this fits in the small machine, because I want to use it long ways, and it fits perfectly side to side. And then another base plate 3, and we're just going to roll this like that. There we go. Oh, carry this big old thing away. So the plate we did not use was that base plate 2. That base plate 2 you would normally use when die cutting. And, oh, Kim, yes, the dots are in the set. And then there you go. We've really subtly just decorated our envelope to match our card by putting those circles onto our envelope flap as well. There are no dies to go with the images. I'm sorry, Lila. Yes, I know. I felt the same way. I wished there was, but that's okay. So back to our card. Now, this truly is like a simple card. We stamped straight onto a circle. This was cut with stylish shaped dies. We stamped our inside, and now we're literally just gluing and using dimensionals to finish this one up. So I'm going to take this beautifully stamped inside, and I'm going to pop that into our card. I want those little dots on the outside. So if this is standing on somebody's mantle and it's just slightly open, we'll be able to see those little dots. There we go. Now I'm going to glue my embossed piece to my white piece before I attach it to my card front, because sometimes I don't cut the best. And so this way I can glue it down and trim that before I attach it to my card front, so it will look all polished and clean and professional. So I'm going to glue that like that. Oops. And this is why liquid glue is my friend. There we go. So I've lined it up completely with one end. And then you can see that other end, I've got a little bit of white. So I'm just going to go to my trimmer and chop that off. All right. So now when I attach that to my card front, I won't see that little white trim anymore. And because this is just a whole card front, it doesn't matter that we've lost like that little 1/16 of an inch. So now this layer gets glued down. Just like that. All right. There we go. And yeah, I know, Nancy, I love embossing envelopes. It just makes them look so pretty and so nice for somebody to get in the mail. I don't know. All right, there are my dimensionals. So I am just using up trim here. So I'm just grabbing some bits and putting those across my circle. There we go. And there we go. This is the time of year that I go through dimensionals like crazy. All right, and then you can decide up, down, centered. I'm going to put mine slightly up. And then we will try and hopefully succeed. There we go, in picking up some of these red iridescent flat discs. Or iridescent adhesive back discs, maybe they're called. And pop those onto our card front. And voila, that is our second card in the card class. So a really quick and easy card, and then the lovely matching envelope. All right, now, where am I putting these? Okay, right there. And then our third card today, I got the right one. There we go. Our third card today, I will show to you, uses some more of that beautiful ribbon and is Christmassy, but in not Christmas colors. Now, you could totally change this up, do it with red and green, but I'm a really big fan of non-traditional colors. So that's where I went with this. So you'll see again, these little blue pieces have been embossed with that circle. I actually did the embossing first on a 2-inch piece and then cut it in half to make it 2 1-inch pieces. It just saves you a little bit of time that way. You could actually do this if you were making multiple cards. You could do like a 4 or a 6-inch piece and then chop it all up afterwards. So that's how we did that. Now, step 1 is to actually place these onto your card, but don't glue them down. And then because we're working with limited materials, which is so unusual for me, we're going to clean up our last image, that gorgeous leaf, so that we can put our new image on to the block. Sorry guys, this is like not my norm. I normally have blocks flying around everywhere. But they are packed up. I have 3 events in one day on the 28th. It's a little bit insane. Okay, so now we have that awesome "'Tis the Season" with the background. It's all one stamp. It's so cool. So you can just stamp this in one color and be done, and it's gorgeous. But I wanted to step up this last card a little bit. So again, because I'm using the big block, I'm taking my ink pad to my image. And I'm using Granny Apple Green. So with my Granny Apple Green, I am going to stand up. I'm looking at my words. I'm concerned about making my words straight in this little open space that I have created. So if you actually look at the long ornament and make that one be completely vertical, then the rest of the image will line up beautifully. So that is done, and now I've got it centered, and I didn't get any ring or anything. Almost did. Might put an embellishment there. Might switch up how I do my embellishments on this one just to cover that. So now that piece we can just kind of set to the side, and we're going to bring in this piece. So you can clean your stamp, or the Orchid Oasis is probably dark enough you don't need to. I am going to clean my stamp just in case. And I'm going to restamp this image in Orchid Oasis on the square piece of white cardstock that you have in your kit. Now, this time around, I can see that I totally inked up my edges, and I'm probably going to get a little ring. Oh, here, perfect example of how to clean this up. I have ink all over my little finger grip, and I don't want to touch that and get ink all over my hands when I go to close it. So I just go in there with my chamois and clean that up. All right. So I don't want to get ink, the ink ring when I'm doing the green one, but when I'm doing this Orchid Oasis one, it actually, like, obviously preferred not, but it's not critical. Oh, I didn't get the ring anyway, so that's good. Because on this one, I'm just cutting out the ornaments, and we're leaving the whole rest of the background. So this is where, again, I wish there were dies, but there are not. So we're going to cut, and I'm just looking and following the edge of the ornament. I'm leaving like the tiniest little border, but in some spots you can't because there really isn't a border. And when we get up here, I am going to cut the kind of like the tie and the greenery off because they're going to show up in green on the background of where I put this. So, these glasses. There we go. So we just kind of follow this. And I am keeping the two ornaments together on this side. There we go. All right. So there's one set, and then we need to do this one. So again, where I can, I'm leaving just the tiniest white border. Leaving that little border gives you just a little wiggle room when you go to attach these to the card front. It means that you don't have to be so perfect in how you line things up. There we go. All right. So with those cut out, we get to start putting things together. So step one is to take your two little embossed blue pieces, flip them upside down. And for this, I am going to use my Seal Plus. Oh, is that my Seal Plus? Yeah, it is. Okay. And I'm going to run a strip of it along one edge of each of my embossed layers. There we go. Now, with that done, I'm going to take a piece of smoky slate, and you decide how much you want showing. I want just a tiny amount. The reason you got a whole 1/2 inch piece is so that it would cover up the adhesive on the back. So we've got now just that little itty bitty strip showing, and then we're going to do the same thing to our other piece. Try as best you can to leave the same amount showing on both. All right, at this point, if they weren't exactly the same length, you could use your paper snips to trim up the ends. And then we're going to attach these to our white layer where we stamped the green. And when we do this, we're going to, I'm just using liquid glue, we're going to attach them so that they are flush with the top and the sides. So again, if they're not exactly right, then line them up perfectly on one side so that we can trim the other side. These ones look pretty good. All right, and then we do the bottom as well. So this is why we placed our blue pieces down before, so that we could really make sure that our green image would not get covered up by these. There we go. So now we have our base almost ready to go. Before we attach this to our card front, we are going to tie our ribbon around it. So we're going to come up here, and just like I did before, I'm going to tie a knot first. There we go. So, and then make our bunny ears. Oh, my scissors just about fell on me. Wow, that was weird. I have them hanging on a hook and they just kind of dropped. It was bizarre. Okay, so we've got that bow, and then we can move it over. I want it off to the side again. So just like that. Grab my scissors, and what do I do when it's too short for the front? Oh, if I put it on here and the piece was too short, I would look and see if I didn't maybe center this exactly right. And then I would just trim the white piece before I attached it and just make it a little bit smaller. Because again, this is just going on to our card front. So it's, you know, when we put it on here, if you've got like an extra 1/8 of an inch and you can just position it, then that's all I would do. Great question, Kim. So yeah, just once you get it together, if you need to trim these because they're too long, fine. If they're too short, then I would trim my white down to match it. Yeah, so now that we have that bow tied, this gets attached to our card front. And again, I'm just using liquid glue to do that. Nothing too fancy. And up here where the ribbon's really close, it doesn't matter. I'm going to run it above the ribbon. If it gets on the ribbon, so be it. And it won't harm the ribbon at all. And there we go. Yeah, so the nice thing about these layouts is they're very forgiving in terms of size and shape of our bases. So we can just trim them up however we need. All right, so with that all glued together, we have our basic card done. Now we're going to grab dimensionals and attach our ornaments. And so I'm just going to flip these over and find my dimensionals. And let's see, 1, 2, 3. So I just need 3 dimensionals for this. I'm going to pop 1 into the center of that single ornament and 1 onto each half, or onto each of the 2 attached ornaments. I'm going to peel off my backings. And then, because we've left the little border, this is pretty easy to do. I'm going to put those ornaments over top of their green versions. There we go. And there we go. And then we finish up by taking some of the green iridescent adhesive backed discs. Now I'm just going to cover that one little thing that I did. So I'm going to actually switch the direction of my dots, just like that, and embellish with those dots. So that is our 3rd card in this card class to go. So I'm just going to bring all of the cards back in and show you. We've got those and those with their beautifully stamped envelopes as well. Oh, we never did an envelope for this one. So for this one, I might actually do my envelope, but with the dots, and do them in green to match the dots that are there on that card. So you guys have seen how I do the dots on the envelope. I won't do that again, but I would do them in the Granny Apple Green this time instead. So that is our card class to go. I'll actually just show you one other quick card. You'll get a picture of this in the PDF if you do order an order. But I've got this sweet little guy as well, using some of the other stamps from our kit, or from our stamp set. So yeah, that is the card class to go. I hope you guys are having a wonderful month. We've been having a great time. I celebrated my son's 18th birthday yesterday, and just lots of fun getting ready for Halloween now. And yeah, looking forward to stamping with you guys some more. I do have some in-person classes coming up. And oh, darn it, I'm going to forget the dates now. I believe it's November 12th. I have, actually, I'm running 2 back-to-back card classes that day in person if you'd like to join. One in the morning, one in the afternoon. And we will be working on Christmas cards for that one. It's kind of my last Christmas card class, aside from privately booked ones. So I have that going on. If you'd like more information, you can message me and we can figure out which time slot would be a best fit for you. And that's if you're local or willing to travel, I guess, to Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. And then I will be announcing some more online stuff. We do, Greta and I, unfortunately, Christy, one of my US partners, is going to be traveling, so she's not available to join us. But Greta and I are planning a nearly New Year's Eve event on the Friday before New Year's Eve. So save the date for that and watch for more details really soon. And yeah, and also if you're local, I'm going to be at a ton of craft fairs. You can see them on my calendar. If you go to leah.dixon at stampinup.net, you can see my full calendar. And I'm at so many, I don't even know if I can remember them all. The Terry Fox Secondary Craft Fair on November 4th, I know for sure. That one's coming up really soon. I'll be at the Riverside Market. That's at the Riverside Church over by Walmart. And a brand new one, Smiling Creek Elementary up Burke Mountain, is doing a shopping night on a Friday night. I'm going to be there. So lots of places where if you want to come and see me in person, grab a few cards or just pop by and say hi, I'll be in those locations and it's all on my website. So yeah, check that out. I hope you guys have a great day, and don't forget to use the host code if you're placing an order to get this card kit. See you later, everyone.